Jambo, habari gani?
Habari gani? Habari za asubuhi. I can't go much further than that, though. That's the thing.
So you have the dictionary. You will be.
I have the dictionary. Next time I see you, I'll be better with my Swahili.
Okay, thank you very much.
Asante sana.
Karibu sana.
I had a very nice chat with the president. It was very nice to meet him, and there was a very warm welcome and a warm chat. And it's very nice to be in Tanzania. It's been over 18 years since I was last here, but I'm looking forward to seeing as much of the beautiful country as I can and seeing as many people as I can. And it's a real honour to be back here.
Before I begin, I must say that I can only imagine what you may have heard or perhaps read over the past few weeks. So, I want you to hear the truth from me, as much as I can share, not as a prince or a duke, but as Harry.
My name is Fiona Bruce and I work for BBC Television as a journalist and as a presenter.
They tell us coronavirus is a great leveller. It's not. It's much, much harder if you're poor. How do we stop it making social inequality even greater? Hello, good evening. The language around COVID-19 has sometimes felt trite and misleading. You do not survive the illness through fortitude and strength of character, whatever the Prime Minister's colleagues will tell us. And the disease is not a great leveller, the consequences of which everyone, rich or poor, suffers the same. This is a myth which needs debunking. Those serving on the front line right now, bus drivers and shelf stackers, nurses, care home workers, hospital staff and shopkeepers, are disproportionately the lower paid members of our workforce. They are more likely to catch the disease because they are more exposed. Those who live in tower blocks and small flats will find the lockdown tougher. Those in manual jobs will be unable to work from home. This is a health issue with huge ramifications for social welfare, and it's a welfare issue with huge ramifications for public health. Tonight, as France goes into recession and the World Trade Organization warns the pandemic could provoke the deepest economic downturn of our lifetimes, we ask what kind of social settlement might need to be put in place to stop the inequality becoming even more stark. One of the hardest things about dealing in graphs and numbers, statistics, targets, flattening or rising curves is the propensity to forget the names and lives behind the growing death toll. Tonight, we want to remember some of those who died whilst doing their job. They were not soldiers. They didn't sign up to a career in which they pledged to give their lives. They would not see themselves as heroes, but as ordinary members of the public doing their work at a time when it demanded immense courage and kindness. Here are just some of those key workers from all walks of life we remember tonight. Good night.
I was quite young and I had such a big imagination. In those scenes when I was younger, I would really convince myself that I was there and it was happening, you know.
Yeah, I remember my first day on set. Oh my God, I fell off a fucking horse. Jesus, this is my first job. This is like the first thing I ever did and they stuck me on a horse. Oh, I was falling off the horse trying to act still.
Achilles.
Okay, let's do it again, please.
Well, I remember my first scene we shot from the pilot, and that was the king's arrival. You know, the king rides in on horseback, and he has to get off his horse, and his robe was enormous. The horse rides in, he's like, ah, and then, hold, everyone, and then they run in with like a ladder. They help him down, and they run out with the ladder, and then carry on. Oh, here we go.
I vaguely remember it. It was like Sean Bean and Mark Addy and Lena, and I remember being so overwhelmed and terrified.
I remember everybody clearly. I remember baby Sophie and baby Maisie and baby Isaac. And now they're, you know, out there, full grown.
I was appointed 6 months ago. And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop. For the record, feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. It is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. I started questioning gender-based assumptions a long time ago. When I was 8, I was confused at being called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents, but the boys were not. When at 14, I started to be sexualized by certain elements of the media. When at 15, my girlfriends started dropping out of their beloved sports teams because they didn't want to appear muscly. When at 18, my male friends were unable to express their feelings. I decided that I was a feminist, and this seemed uncomplicated to me. But my recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Women are choosing not to identify as feminist. Apparently, I am among the ranks of women whose expressions are seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and anti-men, unattractive even. Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one? I am from Britain, and I think it is right that I am paid the same as my male counterparts. I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body. I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and the decisions that will affect my life. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. But sadly, I can say that there is no one country in the world where all women can expect to receive these rights. No country in the world can yet say that they have achieved gender equality. Thank you very, very much.
Get ready for a super special English lesson because I'm joined by the best English teachers on YouTube.
Hi, we're Joel and Leah.
Hello everybody, my name is Elliot.
Hi, we're Joel and Leah, and we've got 2 tips because we are 2 people.
So it's 2 for the price of 1.
Which is a saying we have in our supermarkets. So our first tip would be, don't be afraid to throw away the textbook and look for alternate methods of learning, like online. You're probably already in the right place. Don't be afraid to watch British TV, British vloggers, and listen to real people.
Yeah, and my biggest tip would be not to ignore British culture. It's one thing to learn the English language really well, but if you don't learn much about British culture, then it's not really going to work because those 2 things come hand in hand. So chuck away the textbook, learn about culture, and you'll be fine.
And you're on for a winner.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello everybody, my name is Elliot and I'm from a little channel called ETJ English. Now my piece of advice for you today is especially useful for those of you that want to improve your pronunciation. And what I want you to do is try to learn things in small amounts but more often. And the reason why is when we try to learn loads of stuff in a really long session, it kind of becomes a waste of time because we forget loads of stuff, we get stressed out, and the learning process kind of becomes a chore, something we don't want to do. So next time you try to learn or improve something, I want you to take anywhere between 10 to 30 minutes, but maybe 2 to 5 times per day, if you can, obviously. And really dedicate this time to focusing on 1 or 2 important things that you want to practice or learn. And hopefully you should remember some more stuff. You won't get as stressed. And also, the most important thing, English will become a part of your daily life. And that's what we want.
Received pronunciation, posh, classy, well-spoken and elegant-sounding British accent that you hear in movies all the time. So who has the RP accent? Khaleesi, Cersei, Brienne of Tarth, Tyrion, Sansa Stark, Arya Stark, also Catelyn Stark. And of course, Tywin Lannister, the epitome of an RP accent.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and this is how to pronounce the vowel sound in a standard British English accent.
President Trump, if you're watching this, your values and what you stand for are the complete opposite of London's values and the values in this country. We think diversity is not a weakness, diversity is a strength. We respect women and we think they're equal to men. We think it's important to safeguard the rights of all of us, particularly the vulnerable and the marginalised. When you are the President of the USA, you have a massive leadership role. You have a massive platform as well. People follow what you do. What we've seen over the last few years in the USA is a rolling back of much of the progress made in previous decades. It's really important we continue to move forwards. What we're seeing in the USA is a rolling back of the reproductive rights of women. We've got a situation now where some states in the USA are making it almost impossible for women to have the rights to have an abortion. One has to look at the history books to realise the consequences of women not having the right to choose over their own body. What we can't afford to do is return to backstreet abortions. What we can't afford to see is a return to the situation in decades where you had women having no control over their bodies. It's really important we support women in the USA. The fight for gender equality shouldn't just be a fight for women and girls. All of us should be feminists, and that means men and boys too. It was Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel Prize winner, who said, how can all of us benefit when half of us are held back? That's why it's in all our interests to be feminists. If you believe that it's wrong that there's gender inequality, if you believe it's wrong that women earn less than men, if you believe it's wrong that women are still discriminated against in 2019, then you're a feminist.